Hi friends, we are going into class 6 of module 4 and in this class we are going to study what is meant by two area load frequency control. We have already studied what is single area load frequency control. This is an extended version of the same. So an extended power system can be considered as combination of number of load frequency control areas which are interconnected by means of tie lines. To understand the concept of power system and control area, let's consider the extended power system as a national grid. So this national grid can be considered as combination of different state electricity boards. So this state electricity board becomes the control area. The combination of different such control areas is called as extended power system. The only thing is they should be interconnected by use of with the help of tie lines. So it is an example to understand what is meant by extended power system and control area. So let us consider a two area case connected by a single tie line system as shown in the figure. You can see that there are two control areas which are connected by a tie line. Okay, now the control objective is to control the frequency or regulate the frequency of each control areas, that is control area 1 and control area 2. And then we have to, one more thing we have to do, that is we have to maintain the tie line power. We have to maintain the tie line power along with regulating the frequencies of control area 1 and 2. Okay, regulating the frequency of each area, we have already studied it. Along with that, we have to control the tie line power according to the inter-area power contracts. Okay, so that is mentioned here. So next we are moving into the analysis part. Okay, here we are going to assume that each control area is consisting of an equivalent turbine, generator and a governor system, and together it is represented as a control area. Okay, so each control area, to mention each control area, we are using a suffix 1 used for control area 1 and suffix 2 used for control area 2. Okay, in a single area case, we have already studied that the incremental power, that is delta Pg minus delta Pd, is actually accounted for the rate in stored kinetic energy, and the second one is increase in the load caused due to the increase in frequency. You can just refer the generator load model to understand this concept. Okay, in this single area case, we have already studied this portion. Now we are going into the power transported. So normally in a tie line, when we are considering the tie line power transportation, we can say that the tie line transports the power either into or out of the control area. So this should be considered while we are considering the incremental power balance equation. Okay, so what is the power transported out of the area 1, and it is given by P tie 1 is equal to V1 V2 divided by X12 sine delta 1 0 minus delta 2 0, where V1 is the voltage of the first control area 1, V2 control area 2 voltage, then X12 is the reactance. Now delta 1 and delta 2 are the power angles of the equivalent machines which are there in the control area 1 and control area 2. Okay, now for incremental changes in this equation, I forgot to mention this equation 1, already we have studied in the synchronous induction machine. It is actually the power which is being generated by an alternator. Okay, so now we are moving on. For the incremental changes in delta 1 and delta 2, the incremental tie line power can be expressed as equation number 2. Okay, you can see delta P tie 1 is mentioned in per unit value, and this is the equation. Second equation mentions the change in the or increment in the tie line power according to the change in the power angles. Okay, where T12 is actually called the synchronizing coefficient. This T12 is called the synchronizing coefficient, and the synchronizing coefficient is given as this equation, and in this V1 V2 by X12 cos delta 1 0 minus delta 2 0 is the synchronizing coefficient. When we are dividing it with rated power, it becomes a per unit value. That to make it into per unit value only, we are dividing it with the rated value. Hope you understood. Let's move on. So delta P tie, that means the tie line power change according to the change in the load, the power angle, that load angle is mentioned as equation number 2. Okay. the incremental power angle, that means the change in delta, that is as equation 2, delta delta 1 minus delta delta 2. That is the incremental power angle. So this incremental power angle is actually an integral of omega. Integral of omega. Omega means 2 pi f. So it is an integral of 2 pi f. So here you can see that instead of that delta delta 1 minus delta delta 2, it is mentioned now as 2 pi delta, integral of 2 pi delta f. 2 pi is a constant, we can take it outside. So the remaining equation becomes equation number 3. Where delta f1 and f2, delta f2 are the incremental changes in the frequencies of control area 1 and 2. So as we did for first case, control area 1, we are also finding for control area 2. Okay, and the equation becomes 2 pi into T21. Instead of T12, now it is T21 integral delta f2 dt minus delta f1 dt. In the previous case, it was delta f1 minus delta f2. And in this case, it is minus delta f2 minus delta f1. So that is given in equation 4. Where this T21 is actually V2 into V1 divided by X21 cos delta 2 minus delta 1. Okay. This cos delta 2 minus cos delta 1 and cos delta 1 and delta 2 both minus delta 1 2 both are same. Why? Because cos of minus theta is cos theta itself. Okay, one more thing you can note is the rated power is again divided here to make it into the per unit value. Sorry, I forgot to mention the per unit here. So it is actually the per unit value, tie line delta P tie per unit value. And here you can do one more thing. We can convert this T21 into T12 by using an expression, because V1, V2 divided by X12 and X21 both are same. And this part is actually PR1 into T12. This becomes PR1 into T12. Okay, divide it with PR2, you will be obtaining T21. Okay, so this can be mentioned. This PR1 by PR2 can be considered as a constant, and it is mentioned as A12. Okay, and this A12 into T12 is the actual coefficient. T21 is equal to A12 into T12. Okay, let's move on. Now from generator load model, the incremental power balance equation we have already studied, that is delta Pg1 minus delta Pd is equal to this much equation. This much equation we have already studied in the generator load model. Now the thing only which we have to add is delta P tie 1. Why? Because there is a change in the power, tie line power. In the first case, there is a change in the tie line power. So that also has to be added into the generator load model. Thus the equation 5 is becoming. Okay, let's move on. Taking the Laplace transform of this fifth equation, you will be obtaining this equation. I have mentioned the simplification. You can see the simplification here. We have first converted it into the Laplace model. Then after that, we have taken delta f1 of s to the left hand side and all other terms to the right hand side. From that, we found out what is delta f1 of s by making it simplified. And b is taken outside and it is taken to the numerator in the third step. And by that, we can obtain the final equation as 6. We are mentioning the coefficients kps1 is equal to, what is the equation for kps1? It is actually 1 by b. Okay, it is actually 1 by b. And tps1 is equal to, this we have already done in the single area case, 2h1 divided by b1 f1 0. Okay, these are the values for kps1 and tps1. Now comparing with this single area case, you can easily identify the block diagram. There is only one change from the previous single area case. You can see that we are only adding delta p tie 1 of s into the block diagram. So that is the only change made from the single area case in the generator load model. Okay, So let's move on to the next portion. That is, now we are going to take the Laplace transform of third equation. Laplace transform of the third equation means we have already mentioned third equation here. We are taking the Laplace transform. So delta p t1 of s is equal to 2 pi t1 to delta f1 of s. As it is integral, you have to take 2 pi t1 to divided by s. Okay, so you can see the equation here as equation number 7. You can see the equation here. Okay, so for control area 2, the same thing can be repeated for control area 2. But this one has to be done by taking the Laplace transform of fourth equation. You can see the fourth equation here. 2 pi t21. So instead of t21, we can mention as a12. a12 into t12. Instead of instead of t21, we can mention as a12. And in this one, we can substitute delta f2 minus f1 of s as minus of delta f1 of s. So by that it becomes delta p t2 of s is equal to minus 2 pi a12 t12 divided by s delta f1 of s minus delta f2 of s. From this, it should be clear that minus sign is because we are interchanging f1 and delta f1 and delta f2. It is interchanged. That is why. So let's move on. Correspondingly, the block diagram becomes as shown in figure. Okay, you can see easily, you can understand easily. Delta f1 of s. Okay, and this one after the integral. So two things are coming, that is delta f1 of s and delta f2 of s is there. So delta f1 of s minus delta f2 of s into 2 pi into t12 divided by s gives the delta p t1 of s. Okay, now multiplying by another factor minus a12, you will be obtaining delta p t2 of s. Okay, let's move on. Now we are going to consider about a concept called ACE, that is ACE, area control error in the presence of tie line. So what is meant by area control error? To make the steady state tie line power error is equal to 0, in a two area control, another integral control loop has to be introduced. Okay, to make the steady state, the tie line power error, steady state tie line power error has to be made 0. For this, what we have to do is, in the two area control, we are adding one more integral control loop. Okay, and this must be introduced. And what we are going to do is, this ACE is going to be ACE, that is ACE is going to be introduced into the system. So what is ACE, or how can we obtain this ACE? Okay, this ACE can be introduced, or it can be found by taking a linear combination of delta F and delta P tie line power. Okay, and this becomes, by integrating the ACE value, it becomes the feedback loop. Okay, it will be more clear if you are going through the complete block diagram. So just understand that ACE is the linear combination of delta F and delta P tie 1. Okay, delta P tie 1, it will be obtained. So you can see the next equation, ACE1 is equal to delta P tie 1 plus B1 into delta F1, where B1 is the area frequency bias. It is called the area frequency bias. But now, taking the Laplace transform of these two equations, that is ACE1 and ACE2. I have not written about ACE2. It is similar to ACE1. So taking the Laplace transform, you will be obtaining the equation number 9. Now we are going to make the complete block diagram. And here you can see the complete block diagram. So this is the complete block diagram showing the two area control. And in this block diagram, we have also included the integral control also. Okay, now let's go through the figure. Going through this block diagram, you can easily understand how we can combine the two areas. So this completely corresponds to control area 1, and this completely corresponds to control area 2. Now let's go through each of them separately. You can see that first the basic block diagram is drawn for control area 1 and control area 2. I hope you remember this much portion, as the control area in single area case we have already found how to draw the complete block diagram. So this is the complete block diagram of the single area case. Now what is added is we are adding two areas together. Okay, these two areas are added together. Now the new thing is a delta p tie of s is getting into this in this block diagram. Here also delta p tie 2 of s is also entering the system. Okay, these are the new things. Now one more thing you can note down. An integral control control feedback is given in this system, and this was mentioned just before. What is the requirement of this control, this integral control? So that is mentioned as the last portion. So these are the things which are being added. Now you can see that we have already developed a block diagram to represent what is this delta p tie of s and delta p tie of s, tie 1 and tie 2. It will be obtained as this one. These two are delta f1 of s, delta f2 of s. Taking the combination, what is this one? This one will be this is delta f1 of s, delta f2 of s. Delta f1 of s minus delta f2 of s is entering to an integral value, integral control, and from this it is moving to delta, or it is giving result to delta p tie 1 of s, and this one to delta p tie 2 of s. Okay, now this becomes the whole block diagram. Hope you understood the whole block diagram. Let's move on to the conclusion. Now we are considering that the step changes, that is delta PD1 and delta PD2. Okay, here you can see delta PD1 and delta PD2. This delta PD1 and delta PD2, we are considering that it is being simultaneously applied to the control area 1 and 2 respectively. Now when the steady state reaches the output signal of all the when the steady state error reaches 0, all the output signals should become 0, or should become constant. Okay, for this what we have to do is the inputs should become 0. So inputs for the integral controls should become 0. So which are the integral controls in this system? So here you can see from the block diagram, the integral controls are, one is shown here, that is Ki1, that is integral control, Ki1 divided by s. Similarly here Ki2 by s. One more integral controller is there, that is 2 pi T12 by s. So these are, you have already studied this proportional integral control in control system. So these three are the the integral controls which are being provided. So these integral controls are the inputs to these integral controls should be made to 0. So what are the inputs to each of these controls? That means the integral controls. You can see here delta. What is the input to this controller? What is the input to the controller? Here you can see the input to controller Ki1 is delta p tie 1 of s and B1 into delta F1 of s. Okay, B1 into delta F1 of s and delta P tie 1 of s. This together is entering into the first controller. So we can say delta P tie 1 of s plus B1 into delta F1 of s is the input to first controller. Similarly, you just go through the inputs for the other two controllers and you can find that you can formulate these three equations. The input should be equated to 0 so that the output signals of the integrating blocks should become 0. For that we are equating the inputs to 0. And from this you can see third and fourth equation. That means we have already studied the third and fourth equation. Just go through what is the third and the fourth equation. This delta P tie 1 and delta P tie 2. From this, when we are taking the ratio of both of them, that is delta P tie 1 divided by delta P tie 2, you will be obtaining a constant value. And if the three conditions, that is 11, 12 and 13 should simultaneously occur, then when we are solving these three equations, we will be obtaining delta F1 equal to delta F2 should be equal to 0. Then only these three conditions will be simultaneously satisfied. As well as we will also get delta P tie 1 is equal to delta P tie 2 will be equal to 0. Okay, so this will be obtained only under these conditions. Thus, under the steady state change in the tie line power and the frequency of each area will be equal to 0. That means under the steady state condition, the change in tie line power and the frequency will be equal to 0 for each case.